Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Chai Knuckles Knitting, and this is episode 2022-25, starting a two-color brioche hat. So this video is going to talk about how to get started with the Harlow Hat by Andrea Mowry. Andrea has two versions of this pattern. One is for a fingering weight yarn and one is for a worsted weight yarn. You can buy either and the directions are basically the same. Andrea suggests starting out with a two-color tubular cast on. She's got a great video on how to do that. Just look her up on YouTube and look up two-color tubular cast on. With that cast on, you're working with two different colors, and then you have to do two tubular rows flat before you start the hat. And those are detailed in the pattern. For this video, I'm starting having already cast on, and I decided to do a two-color long tail cast on, and I just finished a video on that, the video right before this one, and I will link that in the description for you. If you do a two-color long tail cast on, or you decide to do a twisted German cast on, which is another cast on that Andrea describes in her pattern, then you can skip the tubular rows and go right into doing the setup rows for the pattern. So this is where we are right now. If you do the long tail cast on or the German twisted cast on, you can go right ahead and join to work in the round. So we have our coordinating color, contrasting color yarn to the right, our main color yarn to the left, and we're going to get ready to join to work in the round. And so coming off my left hand needle are my tails, just leave those aside, and then on my right hand needle I have the two colors. I'm going to start out with my main color. So I'm going to pull that main color out, and I'm going to let my contrasting color sit over to the side here and not be used for the first part of the setup round. Okay, so setup round A says I should use my main color. Here we go. And I'm going to do a yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, knit one around. Okay, I'll show you what that means, and I'm going to do it English knitting first for a few stitches, and then I will show you how to do that with continental knitting. So this is my main color yarn. I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, and I'm getting ready to join. So make sure that your stitches aren't twisted. Your first part of this action is to bring your yarn in front, slip one, and yarn over, and then go to knit the next stitch. So I'll put my needle in to knit the dark stitch, bring my yarn over the top of the light stitch, and knit that. So what I have now is this is the last stitch in the round. This is my first stitch with a dark colored hoodie on it from the yarn over, and this is a knit stitch. So to do the next yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, I bring my yarn forward, I slip the next stitch. As I'm going to knit the next stitch, I take the yarn over the top and to the back to knit that next stitch and pull it through. So that is a light colored stitch with a dark hoodie followed by a knit stitch. Okay, do that one more time. Yarn forward, slip, and then you're going to take the yarn over and knit the next stitch. Yarn over, knit the next stitch. Okay. Does that make sense? So in the pattern, I'll look this up for you, just to make sure. Actually, does she have that? Yes, here it is. Okay, so if you're slipping yarn forward, slip one yarn over to a knit one or a bark one, You move your working yarn to the front. This is what the pattern says. Slip the next stitch purlwise, and then you're going to knit the stitch after that, which carries your yarn over the top to the back to knit, and there you go. Okay? Now if you want to do this continental, you'll be holding the yarn in your left hand, and you're going to bring the yarn in front, slip the first stitch, and take it over the needle, then go knit the next stitch towards the back. Again, for continental, you bring your yarn to the front and slip and carry that yarn over the right needle as you're slipping, and then knit the next stitch with the yarn in the back. So yarn in front, slip, and let it drape over your needle. Take the yarn in back and knit the next stitch. And one more time, continental, yarn in front, slip, and take the yarn over the right needle, and then go to knit the next stitch with the yarn in back. Okay, so that is how you do the setup round for setup round A for the Harlow hat. Now I'm going to continue working around until I get to the end of round, which if you want to, you can mark with a marker just to be sure you know where your end of the round is. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute. I'm going to work the rest of the way around with setup round A, and I will be back to work setup round B with you. Okay, so I'm almost at the end of the round. I have 2 stitches left. So I have my last light colored stitch that I'm going to slip and give a hood, and then I have my last main color stitch that I'm going to knit. And once I do that, I'm going to let my main color yarn fall to the back, sorry about that, fall to the back and stay there. Okay, so the dark yarn is now hanging in the back, and it's time to pick up the light colored yarn. Now a couple of visual cues for you. You'll notice after I finish setup round A that I'm going to have alternating stitches with a hood and plain stitch, stitch with a hood, plain stitch, stitch with a hood, plain stitch, stitch with a hood, plain stitch. You will notice that every stitch with a hood has a different color hood than the stitch that's on the needle. So this is the stitch and its hood is the opposite color. You will never have a stitch and a hood the same color. And then the lone stitch is the color that I just worked. The hoods are the colors I just worked. So if you're wondering which color to work next, just look at your hoods that were completed, and you'll be working with the opposite color on this next round. So this is setup round B, and you're going to get your contrasting color in your hand, and using the contrasting color, you're going to start out by burping and then doing a, sorry about that, burping and then doing a slip one yarn over. So I'm going to slip my marker, going to slip my marker, there we go. I'm going to bring my contrasting color yarn to the front, and I am going to burp the next stitch and its hood together, and that means I just brioche purl the stitch and its hood together, and my working yarn is the same color as the stitch. See that? And then the next thing I need to do is give this next lone stitch a hood. So my yarn's already in front. I'm going to slip one as if to purl. I'm going to take the yarn over the needle and back to the front again so that I can purl. and I will brioche purl, burp, the next stitch and its hood together. And then my yarn is already in the front, so I'm going to slip one yarn over. So slip one and yarn over and bring to the front, and I'm going to burp the next stitch and its hood together. And I'll show you that one more time, English. Yarn's already in front, so I'm going to slip one and yarn over and bring the yarn back to the front so that I can burp the next stitch and its hood together. So here's what it looks like continental. My yarn is already in the front. I'm going to slip the stitch and take the yarn over and bring my working yarn to the front, burp the next stitch and its hood together. I'm going to slip and take the yarn over and bring it to the front at the same time, burp the next stitch and its hood together. I'm going to slip and yarn over at the same time, bringing the yarn to the front and burping the next stitch and its hood together. One more time, slip and take the yarn over at the same time, burp the next stitch and its hood together. So what you can see is happening here is that I burped and then I did a hood, and I burped and made a hood, burped and made a hood, burped and made a hood, all in the light color. And I'm going to continue doing that all the way around. I'm going to pause the video right now, and I will be back to you to start round A1A. Hi, so I'm back, and this is the end of setup round B. I've got 2 stitches left. So I have my yarn in the front. I'm going to burp the next stitch in its hood, and then I am going to slip and yarn over that last stitch, and I am going to leave my contrasting color yarn hanging in the front. That's important. So before you start the next row, make sure that the contrasting color yarn is hanging in the front. At this point, if you were going to stop and put your knitting down, I would suggest that you put stoppers on or work the next stitch so you can keep your marker from falling off. Okay? We are going to work setup round A, or we're going to work round 1A next, followed by round 1B. And then round 1A and round B are repeated for the whole rest of the hat until you get to the decrease section. So, what you do with brioche is you work each round twice, once with one color and once with the other color. We are always going to start every new round with our main color, followed by our contrasting color, and we're working around in a circle. When we work with our main color, we are going to be working barks, and when we work with our contrasting color, we're going to be working burps. And we will just continue this pattern over and over. So we're now going to pick up our main color, and the instructions say, using the main color, yarn forward, slip one yarn over, and bark one around. Okay, so I will show you how to do this with the English method of knitting. So yarn forward, slip one yarn over, and then bark one. So the yarn over completes as you're working that bark stitch. So for the next one, it's going to be slip one yarn over, so yarn in front, slip one, and as we go to do the yarn over, we're going to start barking the next stitch in its hood to complete that yarn over. So see, I made a hood on this stitch and I barked this stitch together. Okay, so yarn over, slip one, or yarn to the front, slip one. The yarn over happens as you're barking the next stitch. So that is how it looks when you're working English. For continental, you'll hold the working yarn in your left hand. You're going to bring the yarn in front and you'll slip one with a yarn in front, and it takes that yarn over, bark the next stitch in the back. Yarn in front, slip and yarn over happens at the same time, like that. And then with your yarn in back, go ahead and bark the next stitch. Slip one yarn over, bark the next stitch. There's a lot less hand movement with continental knitting doing brioche, so it's kind of nice. Oh, this yarn split under here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so that's how you will do the round 1A. It's going to be a yarn forward, slip one, bark all the way across. So I'm going to pause right now, work my way around the rest of the round, and we will work on round 1B. Hi, I'm back. I just finished round 1A. I have 2 stitches left, so I'm going to go ahead and slip with yarn in front, slip one yarn over, and bark the last stitch, and then leave my main color hanging in the back and slip my marker. And if your contrasting color happened to change positions and fall in the back, go ahead and just bring it to the front again at this point. Before you start any round B, you need to have your contrasting color yarn in the front. So we just finished working with our main color. We worked yarn overs and barks. And so now we're working the contrasting color, and we're going to be working burps and yarn overs. So we're going to start out the round by burping a stitch and its hood together. And then we're going to slip one, yarn over. So slip one and then yarn over, bringing the yarn to the front, and burp. Whenever you burp, you're actually working a stitch and its hood together. So I'm going to slip one and I'm going to yarn over and bring the yarn to the front again, and I'm going to burp the stitch and its hood together. And yarn is in front, so I'm going to slip the next stitch, take the yarn over and bring it to the front, and burp the next stitch and its hood together. And one more time, yarn is in front, I'm going to slip one, take the yarn over and bring it to the front, and then burp the next stitch and its hood together. And if I want to do this continentally, I will hold the contrasting yarn in my left hand. I will slip and take my yarn over my needle at the same time and bring the yarn to the front so that I can burp the next stitch and its hood. Yarn is in front. I'm going to slip the next stitch and have it drape over my right hand needle and bring it to the front and burp the next stitch. One more time, my yarn is in front. I'll slip, yarn over, have the yarn in the front again, and burp the next stitch. So that's it. I am going to complete the rest of this round 1B, and I will be right back. Hi, I'm back again. I'm down to my last 2 stitches in round 1B, and so I'm going to bark the stitch in its hood together, and then I'm going to slip, yarn over, and bring the yarn to the front, and I'm going to let that contrasting yarn hang in the front now. And I'm done with round 1B. And so you will continue to repeat rounds 1A and 1B all the way until you get to the decreases of the hat. And I think that ends up being a total of 7 inches. So if you look at your work right now, you're starting to set up that brioche pattern. So you'll see that on the front, the public side facing me, my main color looks like columns of knit stitches, and my contrasting color is purl stitches in between, like a ribbing. On the back, you have columns of the light color stitches with the purl bumps for the ribbing of the main color on the back. So if you want to see what this looks like on a completed hat, this is what brioche looks like. So this was my main color, and it's on the outside, and you will see that it manifests itself as columns of knit stitches. These are the stitches that we barked, and their hoods are actually hanging out on the edges here on the back. Let me get a little closer for you. So this is actually a hood. Let's get a little closer over here maybe. So this here is actually a hood for this stitch here. It goes right back here and lays on top of that stitch, this hood here. And that was barked together, and the knit stitch is what makes this column. In between are the, when we came and did round 1B, these were the burps. Okay, they're actually the purl part of our ribbing, our brioche ribbing. If you turn the hat inside out, you'll see that those burps that we did with the contrasting color actually end up being knit stitches on the inside. And this is our main color, is the purl side on the inside of the hat. So that is brioche. And 2-color brioche, the Harlow hat. It's a wonderful, fun project. And in a couple of weeks, I'll be doing a video on how to work the decreases at the top of the hat. So please come back and see that. Thank you. Bye-bye.